Welcome back to another episode of Bry the Builder. I am going to be drilling out the bodies of the main weapons, as well as the cores of the plasma coil, I guess, in order to run the LEDs through. I actually did a little bit of experimentation with the cockpit, and actually coring out a little bit more of one of those gauges on the front, and ended up with a very nice fit for a 3mm LED that I sanded the top to kind of diffuse the light a little bit. It's still really bright, so I hollowed out one of them. I'll do the other one on camera and show you. But this one actually turned out really nice. It's still really bright. It's a really good fit. It won't fall out on its own. I think it's still too bright, so it's an ice blue LED, so I'll end up putting a little bit of blue, probably the Drakenhof Nightshade from Citadel. It's a shade paint. Just dab a little bit on top of that and darken down, still have a nice blue tint to it. I opened up the side a little bit here as well, and I have a flashing red LED that I'll use for that one. That one doesn't fit quite as well because that hole's a little bigger. This other one over here, I think in order to balance out the blue, I think an orange LED there will actually make it nice so that a lot of the light actually getting to his face, then it'll be pretty neutral. Blue and orange should cancel each other out and end up making quite white light. And hopefully I end up with the red and having kind of this half of his face be warm colors and this half of his face be cool colors. At least that's the idea. So we'll see what happens. I've also opened up another one of the panels down below there, and the idea, I'm going to end up, at least the goal, on that one on the lower right there. That's going to, let's see if I can actually get that focus. Not really. There we go. That one, my goal is to put a nice bright white LED behind it. And then a little piece of like Mylar plastic, clear plastic, that I'm gonna paint, hopefully paint what looks to be like a targeting system on there. So if you can look in the cockpit, you'll see that it won't just be bright lights everywhere. I'm gonna try to again dim those down a little bit, and then that one hopefully will have like at least what looks to be a logical purpose. I don't know that I'm gonna be able to do that with all of them, but maybe. I could probably paint right on the front of those LEDs once I sand them a little bit to diffuse the light. That might work really well. That flashing red though, that one's definitely not going to work. And if these are too colored, like the ice blue would work for that, the orange won't. It's too saturated of a color. So anyway, that's going to be coming up. But now, I guess, for a little bit, there's just going to be some drilling. So here we go. I did go ahead already and kind of gauge how far the drill bit's going to have to go in and put a piece of tape on there to mark where I should stop drilling. I definitely don't want to come out the face, even though that will be mostly covered and probably won't even be noticeable, and I could always fix it if I had to, but if I don't have to, it'd be better. Alright, so I'm going to go in about that far, and then I'll come back in from the ends here, and those will meet up with the hole that'll eventually be in here, right, that goes on there. So then that'll be drilled at an angle to meet up with the hole that's going through the body. At least, again, that's the goal. So that's what we're shooting for. I'm going to try to make sure I line up and get to at least close to the center so that these two can both meet it up. All right, so, yep, a little scary, but here we go. now I'm going to go with a smaller bit to go from these two holes and hopefully hit that. And it should make it really easy to run the LED wires through. This one's definitely going to be a bit more of a challenge, but hopefully should be pretty easy as well. Just keeping everything straight. Let's see. Yeah, that should be a good size. Plenty big enough for the wiring and plenty small enough. Definitely felt the connect. All right, so now blowing through the hole, there's a definite connection there. I won't be able to see light through it, I don't think, but the wire should feed through without a problem. other scary part finished. I was at least minimally concerned that if I was off my path at all, that I could come out through that angle. The smaller bit, though, right, definitely doesn't need to be any bigger than that. That's a darn big hole. It's still all going to be capped up by this. All right, so that won't be a problem. I will drill down through here, or I could put the plug in this. Here's the receiver, right, is what those look like, right? So it'll be basically just this little piece sticking out the back. I think that seems like a good spot. Or, I mean, it could come out the back of that cap, but I think like that's better, which means I'm gonna have to go down through there at an angle and kind of core out a spot for that. I'm like, oops, I mean shake the camera, but I think it'll definitely be better coming down at an angle there. Or maybe even better it'd be straight down right there. That would look better. Straight down on the top. Yep, I like that. All right, so that's going to end up being drilled out with a smaller bit. I think this, yeah, that should actually be a nice size for that. We can maybe go what's a 1/16? I think that's probably going to be even better, right? I might have to go from both sides, but that's okay. All right, and that'll be good for this one too. Just going to go straight down from the top. Oh, not a good angle. Trying to get right in that center. No. All right, let's do this. We're gonna All right, now that's big enough for the wire, obviously not big enough for the actual little plug itself, but I will use just an X-Acto to core that out a little bit more so I have a little bit more control, since that plug is more of a rectangle, right? I want to just drill that out. So that should actually be about perfect. Making quite a mess. Love the handy dandy push pin for that. All right, now for these, actually, let's clean up a little real quick. All right, now let's get these guys. These will be hidden. So now it'll be a different LED, but those will end up sitting somewhere right around there on the inside of the shields. So the LED, and this is not the right one, let's just use this as a sample for a second. Right, all I have to do is feed these wires down through the hole. I'm gonna have to adjust that a bit, of course, and it's a chip LED. So once that's down in there, right, I'll be able then to run this through here. And my hope, bent it. There we go. That, as it finds its way, hopefully doesn't get bound up. There we go. Makes it out the back. Alright, that'll plug in there really, really nicely. That gets glued in. And of course, the chip will be sitting inside that cone. And then that sits around and should end up looking really cool in there. All right, so that's it for this one. And I think in the next one, I'll actually be working on finishing coring out all the LED locations in the cockpit. All right, see you next time.